Hello folks, Chef Curry Flavors here, cooking healthy for you, YouTube channel Rising Star Enterprises for Wellbeing. Today we're going to make Spanish paella. Now paella is something that you could eat on its own, but for some reason I always like to have a sauce on top of the Spanish paella. And so I'm going to make a garlic aioli. It's almost like a mayonnaise. It's going to have one egg and one egg yolk. It's going to, and I whisk that together in a blender, and then I will add roasted garlic, salt, Dijon mustard, like a teaspoon Dijon mustard because it's very strong, probably about 3 cloves of garlic, and lemon juice, 2 wedges of lemon juice, that's it. And then we're going to slowly, after we mix that together, slowly infuse. I wouldn't recommend a garlic aioli with just olive oil because it's very strong unless you use a light olive oil. One of the ways I sort of break up the olive oil is I just use regular olive oil, and about 1/3 of a cup and about 1/3 of a cup of avocado oil and 1/3 of a cup of olive oil together, and it comes out great. So we're going to blend that together and we'll be back in 2 minutes. So we have our garlic aioli. I'll show it to you in a clear glass, and it came out fantastic. There you go. And that will basically, it's a garlic aioli. It's like a mayonnaise, and that will basically, and what you do is you add about 1/3 of a cup of avocado oil and 1/3 of a cup of olive oil, and you thicken it, as you go, and it should have basically that consistency, and it goes right on top, and it tastes delicious on top of paella. So we will be back. Hello everybody, I'm Chef Curry Flavors. Today we are going to make paella, and the beauty of Spanish paella is you really don't have to do much to make it healthy because it's a rather healthy meal. We're going to do it with scallops, we're going to do it with shrimp, we're going to do it with mussels. So aside from those pieces of information, and I'd like to sear the scallops before I actually put them in the pot with paella. But besides the fish, which I'll take out in a minute, let me show you some of the other ingredients, okay? So we have our Goya Sazon, which is important, or you could use saffron. We have our Spanish rice, or round rice, actually works really well. We have about 3 cloves of garlic here, and onions, about the same. I guess it's maybe 1/4 of a cup, 1/8 of a cup of each. We have about 1/2 a cup of peas, about 1/2 a cup of orange peppers, red peppers, because it gives a great, color. I also like to add a little extra health with mushrooms, portobello mushrooms, fresh parsley. And I actually like to put artichokes in mine. That's just me. I like artichoke, like to put it in. I add a little bit of honey to it, vegetable broth. You don't need avocado oil or olive oil, whichever one, paprika, garlic, salt, and your spices, pepper, salt. I always like adding a little apple cider vinegar because it breaks it up. And you could have lemon slices as well, and you could just get a can of tomato puree. That kind of, you put in, and you can make your own puree, but, this is sort of the COVID-19, what you have stocked in there. A lot of people are cooking for the first time, don't really know how to make a puree, but we'll make that next week, fresh, but we could just use a canned one right here, and we will be back. So we're going to use not fish broth, because there'll be a fish feel from, all the fish we're putting in. So we're going to use a vegetable broth because, we want to be healthy. We'll probably put, a couple of cups, maybe 3 cups worth of broth in. I usually like to put, if it's, about 3 cups, just so you have the broth, ready, and we're going to add our, we're going to heat this up. We're going to add our Sazon Goya to it. And, each of these packets feeds about 4 people. So if you have about 8 people, you want to serve about 2 packets of that. And that's just your vegetable broth. You could add a little garlic salt if you like. A lot of these broths are already salty, so it's not really necessary. I actually like, believe it or not, to put in a little avocado oil into it, just to give it a little bit of a base, and then we heat that up, and we'll be right back. We have our scallops here. We're going to put a little bit of olive oil. Okay. I actually like to put some paprika on my scallops, and we're just going to sear them. So it's going to be a medium to higher flame, and we're going to sear them, and we could add a little garlic salt. We'll have real garlic on the in there later. And what else? Maybe we could put, I guess we'll just leave it like that. Maybe we'll put a little oregano on there, just to give it a little, you know, green flavor. And then we're gonna cook this and put the flame on, and we will be back. We're going to flip them around, sear them, and then we'll cook the rest of it with we're not going to use all these scallops. I just got a lot. I'm going to eat them later. We'll probably use maybe a half a cup for, or 3/4 of a cup, or a cup for the, that's about a cup, for the actual paella. We have our beautiful scallops cooking, and we're going to just sear them, and then we're going to add them to the paella. So we're not going to cook them all the way. It's good to have a screen so it keeps it from splattering, and we will be back. Here are your scallops already cooked. We're going to cover them, seared rather, not cooked all the way. We'll keep them nice and warm. Put them off to the side. And if you notice, there's some fish stock here. That's why we use vegetable stock, because the fish stock would, if we used all fish stock, it would be too overpowering. So we have the vegetable stock. We have our fish here. We basically take our onions and our garlic. Okay, we're going to cook those up. All right, add those. Get those going a little bit, and it goes right into the fish stock. You know, we're going to add pepper in a little bit. We are always building flavors here. So one thing that I do like to have is I like to get lemon right in there. There you go. One squeezed lemon right in there. Gives it a little acid. You know, this meal has a lot of starch in it, rice. So you want to find ways to give it some acid to break it up and balance it. I always like to add a little apple cider vinegar, about a teaspoon. It's very strong. You don't have to use much. And, you know, at this point, we're going to have to throw in our peppers. We got about a half a cup of each. And the nice part about getting, you know, red and bright red and orange is it gives, you know, people eat with their eyes first. And this gives the paella a beautiful color. And the peas are going to be green too, so that will basically go in as well. At this point, you could add a little paprika. Gives it some nice flavor. Paprika is so very good. You put about a teaspoon of that in. And we will let that simmer and cook for a while. Spread it out, and wait until things start to soften up a little bit. Maybe about 5 minutes on a pretty medium to high flame. While this is cooking, it's always good with your mussels. I put them basically in cold water with salt, and whichever ones rise to the top, they basically mean that the mussels, you can even see these floating, the mussels are basically still alive. If they're not floating, you know, you soak them for 10 minutes or so, they're not floating, that means they're dead. You might as well throw them away. To clean them, you take the beards out. You could take basically a knife, like you would basically use a butter knife, okay, and you basically take the beard, it's a stem, and you basically clip it off that way. I'd use a butter knife on those. And then you could basically use a butter knife as well, or a dull knife, to scrape the sand or any residue that's on the outer shell. As you can see, these are all very, very clean, and the beards are taken off. And they're soaking right now, and we'll put those together later. and we will be right back. This is coming out beautiful. The reason why we don't want to put it on a high flame, more like a medium, low over medium flame, is you don't want the garlic to really start browning, you know, and you don't want the colors on the pepper to start to dull out. I guess at this point we could add our mushroom. That's sort of softening up now. We got about a cup of mushrooms there. If you want, you could also throw in your artichoke. That's about 3/4 of a cup of artichoke. I really like artichoke, and you could just use the screen, see this technique, just to mix everything through. And this is all basically in the fish sauce. You know, we're going to let that cook for about, it's been cooking about 3 or 4 minutes. We'll let that go another 4 minutes or so, just to suit, you know, probably 8 minutes total, 8 to 10 minutes. Basically, you're waiting for the vegetables to soften. It could be 8 minutes, 10 minutes. You could taste them. When they start to get a little soft, they'll cook through the rest of the way, but you want them to at least feel a little soft in the intro. Here's a actually adobe all-purpose, which is really great. Has a ton of spices in it. Yeah, about a half a teaspoon of that. A few shakes. Keep that going. Yeah, you could add about, here's where you add your canned tomato puree. Okay. And like I said, you could make it yourself. I add about 5 tablespoons, believe it or not. Sort of like getting that red in there and that sauce. I put it in later, as you notice, because you don't want it to burn, and sauce has a tendency to burn, so you want to make sure you saute your vegetables before you put the tomato puree in. At this point, you want to add your vegetable stock. Actually, we're going to, before we are on that, we're going to add our peas. We're going to add our fresh parsley, okay? And there's the green colors we were looking for. We're going to mix this up, okay? First, mix this up. I mean, the peas really don't take long to cook, so you put them in sort of later on. Get everything going, mix together, nice and beautiful. Look at how beautiful this is coming out. And we basically take our vegetable stock, okay, which has the sazon in it. It's about 3 cups, all right. And we'll make the flame a little higher just to get it hot, and then we'll stay between high and 3/4. We're just going to mix this through a little bit, all right. We're going to wait for this to get a little warm, even though that was warm, just a little hotter, and then we're going to add the rice. So we're going to add our rice, and once we add the rice, we're not going to stir it that much. So at this point, you know, I just want to add a little bit more olive oil because it was cooking mostly in the fish stock. And we just want to make sure there's enough oil to support it from not sticking. So you add about a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. You mix everything together, and look how beautiful this is looking. Okay, and then from there, you basically, you know, you add your rice. This is about 5 ounces. Okay, this is about 10 ounces. All right. You can sort of see. I mean, I have 20 ounces here. Sometimes, you know, you just want to see how much, and we're going to add 15 ounces, okay, of rice. Even though I have 20, it looks like it's getting pretty much to the top there. And the reason why you don't want to disturb what's going on here with the rice is what you want to, and we'll have you look up on this one. What you basically want for the rice is what's called sakarat. And that basically is when the rice sort of burns at the bottom of the pan. Not burns, but it sort of burns in a way and gets thick. It's called sakarat. It's beautiful, beautiful technique. And so you may want to shake you could shake the pan sort of like this, but you don't want to move that rice around because you want that beautiful sakarat, hard rice, or almost like burnt rice at the bottom, which really makes a great paella. Okay, so after saute, you can see this, you don't want it bubbling too much, just enough so it's boiling, so you may want to lower the temperature to where it's a soft boil. So medium, medium, maybe a little under medium. You want like a really soft boil there on it. See how it's bubbling nice, looks fantastic. We're going to let that, so once the rice goes in, you saute everything. That takes about 10 minutes. Once the rice goes in, you're going to want to cook the rice for about 10 minutes, okay? And you want to shake it a little like this, but you don't want to stir it because you want that nice sakarat, burnt type feeling rice on the bottom, which really makes a fantastic paella. Instead of mixing it, what you could do is do this. You just sort of don't mix it too much, but you just move it around so it doesn't get too thick on the bottom or too burnt. If you see, by looking at it, if you see that the rice is cooking but needs a little bit more juice, you could just take the vegetable stock, disperse it. It gives it a little bit more, not too much. You don't want to cool off the mixture, but it gives it just enough juice to finish the rice if you feel that it's thickening up too much. This has been on for about 7 minutes cooking. For the last 3 minutes, I sort of like to put over a little tin foil just to keep the moisture in and let the rice cook through. Just a little trick. Ah, the rice is coming out so good. It's almost cooked all the way through. So that's about 10-12 minutes. You keep it nice and juicy. And put this over here for now. And then we're going to take our shrimp. Okay. Make sure that you devein them on both sides and cut the tail off. And we're just going to lay our shrimp. I sort of like to push the shrimp sort of down. Okay, when I put my shrimp on. I sort of like to have them sink a little in the juice, you know. You could just leave them on top. They'll cook through. And they don't take long. A couple of shrimps here in the middle. All right, there you go. Those should cook through. And then you take your scallops, which were seared. Don't just throw them in. I sort of put them around the shrimp. You know, it just looks better, looks more pleasing to the eye. All right. That way you can see the shrimp. You don't want to miss out on seeing the shrimp. This is sort of the process. Getting all of them in. And this look beautiful. Then you could take your sort of pat down your scallops so they sort of go into the mixture. And then you basically take your mussels and you place them strategically all throughout the plate. And again, put some mussels. Let's put a mussel over here. Put a mussel over here. You don't want to overburden it, you know. Maybe we'll throw one more mussel here near the shrimp. But, you know, maybe we'll sneak a mussel here on the side. You know, move that over. Put that guy like that. Okay, that looks great. Actually, at this point, it's cooking. I do like to cover it a little bit loosely, just to give the moisture, you know, in there. And I leave it this way so we cook the rice, we saute everything 10 minutes, then we cook the rice for 10-12 minutes, and then we're going to basically keep it like this for 4 or 5 minutes, then we're going to cover it. And there you have it, a beautiful paella. We're going to turn the oven off. We're going to cover it for about 10 minutes, and just so it soaks through, take it off the flame, and we will be back. It's absolutely beautiful. Look how beautiful this paella came out. Look at those mussels open. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We're going to cover it now, and we will be back. That is the absolute beautiful paella. Came out absolutely perfect, ready to eat, ready to serve. I'm very excited. Thank you for joining us. Absolutely amazing paella, and I could tell the hard sakarat rice is on the bottom, and it's just going to be absolutely, absolutely delicious. Some Dean curry, chef curry flavors, cooking healthy for you. Very healthy meal paella, very easy to make. We will be right back, and until next time, have a wonderful day, a wonderful life. Keep eating healthy, keep staying strong, keep being hopeful, and we will see you next time.